Hey guitar friends, welcome to All About Guitar Academy. Today we're going to talk about power chords. They're so much fun to play and they're easy to play. I'm going to show you how to use power chords to play classic rock and roll music with just one or two fingers. Coming right up. Hey, welcome back. Like I said, we're going to talk about power chords today. I was actually just utilizing an A5 power chord there, and I'm going to get to that here. Okay, so what is a power chord exactly? Well, a power chord is missing that third note that makes a chord sound like it does. In other words, E major sounds like that, or I can do E minor. And what we're missing there in a power chord compared to those two chords is that third note that makes the chord sound either brighter, like an E major, or an E minor. Hear the difference there? Hey guitar friends, by the way, if you are just getting started with guitar and you're having a little bit of trouble, my fast track guitar course is just what you need to get started down the track of learning to play guitar fast. I've developed a very easy method for learning basic open chords with only two fingers at a time that will get you up and running on the guitar, learning in as little as 6 weeks or less. All right, it's called Fast Track Guitar. You can get it here at allaboutguitaracademy.com. I can't wait to see you there in class. Same thing with a D major and a D minor. For example, we've got D major, and we've got D minor. Hear the difference there? The D minor, the second chord I played, sounds a little bit more sad. The first chord sounds a little brighter. Well, if we take that third out and we just focus on the main notes, we can come up with a power chord. And we can do it with just one finger. I'll demonstrate for you. For example, that E major, I'm using 3 fingers. Well, what if I just took my index finger, finger number 1, and I put it here on fret number 2 of the 5th string? So I'm counting up from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to play this note right here with the open E string, the 6th string. I'm just playing those two notes. And it kind of has a more of a rocking sound. I don't have any distortion on it right now. I'll put some on in a minute, but if you listen to those two notes, I'm just using one finger. I'm just covering fret number 2 with my index finger. Now, if I was going to do, for example, an A major, sounds like this, and then I've got A minor. Hear the difference there? Well, what if I just wanted to have that good A sound and make it sound a little crunchy? Well, I can just use this one finger again and move it down towards the floor, one string over from where I made the E5 chord. Now this is called an A5, and I'm only pressing down on one string, one fret. So I'm going to play string number 5 open, and I'm going to play string number 4 with my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. I'm just going to play those two notes. What if I wanted to add an extra string in there just to make it have a little more body to it? So what I can do is put my index finger across string 4 and 5 on the 2nd fret, and I've still got an E5 chord. I'm going to play the open 6th string, which is an E note, and I'm going to play all 3 of those strings, but just those 3. Sounds like this. Little more powerful than the first power chord version I used, but I'm still just using one finger. All right, let's try that on the A5. Works the same way. We'll just take our index finger, we'll put it over string number 3 and 4 on the 2nd fret, pressing down, and I'm going to play this open A string, which is string number 5. I'm just going to play those 3 strings, strings 5, 4, and 3. Now, what you want to be careful on these, it's really hard, especially if you're just starting out, to not play any other strings. So what I'm doing, I'm using my thumb to mute this low E string because I don't want to play that with the A. So it looks like this. So you can practice with that using your thumb. If it's up here where it should be, you can kind of mute this 6th string. Now it might take a little bit of practice to get that good and clean where you're not hitting the other strings. But that's an E5 and an A5. What if we want to do a D5? Remember our D major and our D minor? Well, what if we want to do a D5 power chord using just one finger? Well, all we've got to do is come over here to string number 3. So I'm counting up string 1, 2, and 3. I'm putting my index finger right here on the 2nd fret of string number 3. And then I'm going to play string number 4, which is open. And that's also a D note. And then I'm going to play the string number 3 that I'm holding down on the fretboard with my index finger. All right, that's a D5. So we've got E5, A5, and then D5. And we're playing all of those chords with our index finger, just putting it on the 2nd fret of each string. Pretty cool, huh? Now to add a little more power to that power chord, I can take my middle finger and put that here on fret number 3 of string 2, and then put my index finger back where it was a minute ago on fret number 2. So I'm going to play the open note, which is string number 4, and then I'm going to play string number 3 and 2, but I'm not going to play string number 1. I want to mute that one. This is going to make our D5 power chord sound a little bit beefier, like this. All right, so that's our E, A, and D5 power chords. What about a G? Well, here's the cool thing. A G power chord is going to be right here on the next string down towards the floor. On string number 2, I'm going to put my middle finger right here on fret number 3, and I'm going to play the open G string, which is string number 3, with the 2nd string that I'm holding down on fret number 3. I'm going to play those 2 strings only. Sounds like this. All right, so I've got G5, D5, A5, and then E5, all with one finger. Pretty cool. All right, what if I want to beef up that G a little bit, make it have a little more power? Well, all I've got to do is take one finger, and I'm going to use my middle finger, and I'm going to cover up string 1 and 2 on fret number 3. And then I'm going to play the open G string, which is string number 3. And I'm just going to play those 3 strings. Sounds pretty cool. All right, so we've got G5, D5, A5, and then E5. All right, what's really cool about those 4 power chords is you can play hundreds, literally hundreds of rock and roll songs. All right, so for example, we can actually do some Van Halen or the Kinks. They're the ones who wrote the song, but you heard me doing You Really Got Me at the beginning of the video. I'm just doing an A5 power chord, and then I'm taking my middle finger and I'm hitting this G note down here on string number 6 like this. Then we go to a D5. I'm doing the same thing, but I've moved everything down a string towards the floor and made a D5, and I'm using my middle finger to hit this C note right here, which is on string number 5 with the D5 chord. So it's just like that. So it's A5 and D5 back and forth. We're just adding a little hammer on there. Okay, another example, Loving Maid by Led Zeppelin. So that's an A5 and a D5. Those are the only chords I'm using for that riff. The rest of it is just some extra stuff, hammer-ons, I'll show you. Lots of AC/DC songs out there with power chords. Shot Down in Flames on a D5. A5. Hitting that G note. C note. So I'm just doing an A5 to a G note and then a D5 to a C note. So hey, that's how much fun power chords can be. I hope that you got a lot from this little lesson. And let's just wrap it up with that little Led Zeppelin riff, Loving Maid. I'm playing it with E5, A5, D5. And then I'm just adding the hammer-ons in there. It goes like this. Hey, have fun with your power chords. I'll see you next time on All About Guitar Academy.